Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. To say that it was a day would be an understatement. Welcome back to the best day of the week, boys and girls. We've got a jam-packed show today. We're going to go over all things National Signing Day. 3 new commits happened today. Billy Napier had a press conference, first time, and it feels like forever. So we're going to go over that, pull a few clips from his press conference. We're also going to be discussing the new defensive line coach, new strength and conditioning coach. A lot happened on National Signing Day, and we've got a lot to go over. But before we do any of that, let me go ahead and introduce the co-host for the evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Soderquist. Under the weather currently. There we are, a little delay there. But he is here nonetheless, sick and all. Dave, how you feeling, big guy? How you doing?
Besides my body and all that, yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, we've been working some overtime here at High Top Sports. I've been working some overtime behind the scenes, getting phone calls and DMs like crazy. Usually this is how early signing day goes, but hey, we're here. High Top, baby. Let's get it. Let's go.
Let's get it. Let's go. What's up, mama? Welcome to the show. And yes, smash the like button. Over 300 people in here already to get the day started. And $5 says, let me get 2 claps and fire me up, B. One time. Yes, sir. Let's go, boys. Fire me up. Let's go. Good show. Cody and I held it down all day today, but I don't know where to begin. Like I said, we've got a lot to go over. Let's start off with the commits that we landed. We were unable to discuss. I have not had a chance to go over Shamir DK, I believe is how it's pronounced. Senior wide receiver out of Wisconsin, committed during the mayhem of when Isaiah Williams flipped to Texas A&M. It all happened around the same time while we were live, so we discussed it a little bit, but not too much. I'm really excited about this pickup, just given the fact that we don't have much seniority on the wide receiver side. I was like, this guy could be our Ricky Pearsall, not in the sense that he's Ricky, but that leadership, a security blanket for Graham Mertz, as half of this young man's receptions come from Graham Mertz when they played at Wisconsin together. So really think this is a massive pickup. What are your thoughts on the scoop up here, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pickup. I don't think anybody is going to be excited saying it's an elite pickup or anything like that.
Sure.
But I think that his time at Wisconsin, it looks like he's got plenty of eligibility left to the familiarity with Graham Mertz. I mean, that's something that you want to look at there because obviously, if you've made plays with a quarterback before and you go to see said quarterback at a different school, you're going to have that that cohesion right there. So I actually like it. It's an experienced guy who's played college ball. It doesn't matter usually, like in the portal, it doesn't matter where you're ranked in high school because obviously you've had college experience for the most part. You're going into the portal, so you can be a completely different person from your high school ranking. We've seen it happen plenty of times. So, man, I like it. I let me see what happens in year 1 with this kid, and maybe I'll like it even more.
For sure. I look at it again. I think nothing like a shell shocking commit, but a healthy one nonetheless. Also, Gregory Smith almost damn near gave me a heart attack when he committed to Vandy and then didn't commit to Vandy. I mean, me and Cody were in shambles. We talked about him and what he's able to do. There's also a clip about it with Stephen Harris because Stephen Harris coached him. I think we got ourselves a special one here. I know he doesn't pop off the screen in the sense of the star rating wise, but a lot of it has to do with him becoming a safety later on in his career. Doesn't have much film to support the stars that could be there. Reminds me of somebody like a Jordan Castell who changed positions kind of late in their high school career, so they don't come out ready to rock and roll. So Gregory Smith, and then alongside Jaden Ball, 4-star running back who we felt confident about, somebody we've been going after for a very long time, getting our second running back of this class. All good things outside of the negative noise that happened today. Those were the positives to focus on and to keep looking at. Real quick though, $10 from Zaire says, as it stands now, it's safe to say that I don't even see what Billy has done better than Mullen, since recruiting has been literally the exact same from when Mullen was our head coach. You want to take that one there, old Swolder?
I mean, fair enough if you look at the high school recruiting classes compared to Dan Mullen, but a lot of people have to also realize that Dan Mullen had a lot of attrition before those kids even got to campus. Remember the Jalen Jones, Chris Steele saga? Those kids never even took a snap at Florida. Maybe in the spring game with Jalen Jones, but that was it. You got to look at the attrition of the kids that didn't qualify in his classes too. So if you look at the overall perspective, Dan Mullen's classes that were top 10 weren't really even top 10 anymore. You can do research and we can talk about it all you want. And also, Dan Mullen didn't have to deal with NIL and transfer portal the way that it is now, too. So that was a lot easier to hold on to some of those kids in his class as well. And in retrospect, I guess you could say, well, Dan Mullen didn't really have much access to the transfer portal, which he did. He got some good transfer portal guys in here, like Van Jefferson, Trayvon Grimes, uh, and just like those type of transfer portal guys, he did pretty well. He just didn't get enough of those guys, I think. But it completely changed around his wide receiver room. You got a Jonathan Grenard out of the transfer portal too, so you got to give Dan Mullen credit for that. But Mullen did not have to deal with some of the trials, I guess, and tribulations that Napier had to deal with when it came to the new rules that they put in. But at the same time, I mean, you got to look at Billy Napier, man, winning 6 games his first year, only winning 5 when you could have probably easily win 8-4 if you just made some right decisions on the field. So, I mean, you could go both ways with it. It's a double-edged sword, I guess. If you know want to argue with Dan Mullen and Billy Napier, and obviously Mullen had the better records, but he did that with a lot of Jim McElwain's talent and not really his talent. Once his talent took over, he was winning 6 games anyway. So, I mean, you could argue any which scenario you wanted to with either one, but at the end of the day, neither one of these class rankings from Dan Mullen or Billy Napier gets it done in the SEC in high school, and that's just the cold hard facts. And I said it on Twitter earlier. I said if you're going to bring in a 16th ranked class or 15th ranked class or a 12th ranked class, you better be bringing in some really really high level transfer portal guys to help supplement that. So it's not over with yet. The portal period doesn't end until a little bit after January, and some of these bowl games still got to get played. And yeah, a lot of these kids will enter the portal after the bowl games get played too, as well. So we'll see what Billy Napier does in the transfer portal because that's pretty much almost the only option he has left. If you look at the Zay Mincy kind of thing too, I heard maybe he's trending Alabama today, but that how recruiting goes, it's up and down. I mean, there's a whole a couple of maybe a week or two before the Under Armour All American game, so we'll see what happens, man. And like I'm not that much down in the dumps yet. I just got to see what happens in the portal from here on out.
That was something I was saying today when people were kind of getting worked up. I said, look, and I was spinning it, but I said the pro is thankfully because of the portal that if you have a cluster of a day like today felt like, there's a backing period. There's an ability to counter the things that you lost out on, and maybe that could be part of the reason why there wasn't so much of a push on some guys. I'm going to play a clip here from Billy where he talks about some of the guys that decommitted. It's interesting what he says, kind of how he approaches the situation, because there's a few guys. We talked to some of our guys that are on the ground. Spoke to a few players that flipped today, and the overall feeling was like, look, like this Florida wasn't really pushing us towards the end, and other schools were. So this kind of goes back to what we've talked about before: the UAA having a certain budget, them not being as bought in as well too. And again, people putting a lot of blame on Billy. Look, there. The one thing I will say Billy has lied to us is saying, hey, if you can't, sign 25 elite guys, there's an issue. He hasn't done that yet. And we talked about that at the beginning of the show. A lot of concerns there. But for us to have these guys committed and all of them flip towards the end tells me that there's more to it than just Billy not doing a good job recruiting. There's other factors I believe that are involved. I think Xavier has a lot to do with Corey Raymond, but changes had to be made. Real quick, Stone Cold says $2 I think Billy can get the team into the top 12 in 24. And look, I think part of that could be there's a few guys on the board. Zay Mincy is one of those guys. I know Favor Edwin, we were favored to land him earlier this morning, but he hasn't committed yet, so I'm not quite sure. Big time offensive tackle he's looking to choose between Auburn, Bama, and Florida. So I think some high company there. Lewis says, how do you feel about the Hurricanes being number 3 in recruiting? I hate it. Zachary says Mullen never signed a caliber of Lagway or McCray, and I think that is something too that Billy can hang his hat on, is having the only team to have 2 players in the top 10 is pretty big. I think it's a big thing. Look, I mean, yeah, we're gripping for straws for sure, but if we're gonna hold our hat on something, we need to hold it where we can.
Well, people got to also look at I mean, we obviously lost 2 guys that we didn't want to lose. Well, I can't really say we didn't want to lose because Hayes got his scholarship pulled, so that's why he went to Miami. But you didn't want to lose Amaris Williams, you didn't want to lose Xavier Filsame. I mean, those were kids you wanted. Those were high talent, high level guys you wanted in the class. You also got to look at Miami's number 3, now number 4 class because somebody had just moved up. They have 27, 28 commits. 17 of them are 3-star commits. You got to look at that too. You got to look at their class
For
average.
sure.
Not saying that Miami did not pull some elite talent because they
For
did in
sure.
their class, but you got to look at it. If we were to add 10 3-stars, we'd be up in the top 10 too, probably almost top 5.
Yep, talking about that with, and again, this people are gonna spit it like, "Oh, you guys are just blowing it." And this is the thing, the argument that I've been having all day because I get too worked up in these comments sometimes because just ignorant sometimes in the comment section of like, "Oh, you're blowing Billy or this or that." Look, I'm gonna trust and believe in the process and believe in Billy until he's not here. That's how I've always said that. I've always stated that. I'll be critical when I feel it's time to be critical, but at the end of the day, the players are signed. Here's what we're left with. Okay, let's pick up and move on. That's how my
Yeah.
mindset's going to be. I do want to play this clip though. So Billy was asked a couple of times, a couple of questions. Edgar always giving us the juice, the punches, and asked Billy about the decommits. Here's what he had to say, and then somebody asked kind of about the sky is falling on social media, right? What do you have to say to that? Great question as well too, because the sky is falling according to everyone else. But here's what he had to say. And while we play this video, smash the like button. Got over 700 people in here. Show some love.
In this class, but some pieces that maybe were expected at one point didn't make it into the class. It reached as high as number 3 in the rankings, and I don't know where it sits now, but it's dropped. It's dropped precipitously. I mean, what is the? Is that just the way it's going to be with after a season like you guys had, and is it just harder to, convince guys to get on board then?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it all across the country, right? I mean, I think down to the finish line, there's an element to recruiting. It's a battle, right? There's no question about it. We're here today to talk about the players that we got, and we got some elite players, right? We got elite people. We got leaders. We have young men that were up for the challenge, right? Some weren't up for the challenge, right? But this group, okay, that we're here to talk about today and celebrate today, decided, hey, you know what? I believe in what's happening there. I'm up for the challenge. So, I think ultimately for me, I respect the group that's committed, that's signed today, that is excited about the work that's in front of us. And that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about those other situations.
Lagway to that point, that was.
Look, fair response, right? What am I going to talk about? The kids that decommitted? Like, look, the guys that are here, they want to be here, they want to fight, they want to go after what's in front of them, and we want that. He does allude, and I'll play the clip here in just a moment about how look, some of those guys like kind of probably didn't want him anyways. In a way, that's what it's kind of stated that. But look, he's right. I mean, it's if you're here, you're here. It's time to move on. The coach isn't gonna be like, man, this shit's on fire. he's not gonna give you that answer as much as you would love for him to do that. As for real quick before I let you go, there's a couple of super chats, but I do want to read off the guys who did sign for this class. So people are wondering, hey, what's actually committed? These guys are locked in. So I know there's people always commenting like, I'm not gonna get worked up until they sign. These guys are locked and loaded unless we have a Jaden Rashada situation. DJ Lagway is signed and ready to rock. Elgin McCray is signed. Miles Graham signed. Fletcher Westfall signed. Aaron Childs signed. Amir Jackson, 4-star tight end, signed. Kanan Daniels, 4-star running back, signed. Jeriah Hawkins, 4-star wide receiver, signed. Tawaski Abrams, 4-star wide receiver, signed. Josiah Davis, safety, signed. Mike Williams, 6'7", offensive tackle, signed. Jaden Ball, running back, signed. Brian Taylor, number 3 JUCO player in the country, signed. Somebody who probably would make a day one guy. Teddy Foster, cornerback, signed. Gregory Smith, I think he's going to surprise a lot of you. Safety, signed. Micah Barora, who double backed at us. Defensive lineman, 6'5", signed. Marcus Mascall, 4-star offensive lineman, I believe, on 3, is signed. And then Noah Putuganji has also signed. Cool thing, I didn't play this clip, but Billy spoke about Noel and kind of what he is. He's been playing professional football across seas. He plays up against 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. I think we might have got ourselves a little bit of a treat here. He might be a little bit further along than people realize just because of his playing experience is much greater. It's almost like a JUCO transfer from what he was describing to me. 6'5", 334. So playing up against big, again, I know football across the water isn't the same, but you're playing against grown men, guys bigger than you. You're having to adapt and play a bigger style of ball versus 15-year-olds, which is what the other kids are playing up against. So you're playing against grown man strength. Might be somebody who surprises us in this coming season. And then alongside Shamir DK, Triquez Bridges, Joey Slackman, and Brandon Crenshaw all signed as well today. So everything's locked in. No more need to panic on that. Now it's focused on what's next in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, Norel, I don't even know how to say his last name, Portugani or whatever.
Germany
I
guy,
think
yeah.
he's yeah, I honestly think he's out of the, I guess you would say, the lower ranked offensive lineman in the class. I think he's the one that is the guy I like. Very athletic, as you said, playing against grown man overseas. It's kind of hard to rank somebody that plays in like a different country, and then
Sure.
like rank them against like American talent and American football, I guess, over here. Because obviously they have camps and high school camps. I'm not sure how they do it over there, but I think when you look at his film and you turn it on, he's very athletic. But overall, with the class and what Billy Napier has said, it's I get where he's coming from. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about the guys that want to be Gators and all that. But problem is there was guys you wanted to be Gators and they didn't sign with you. But obviously, you're not going to want to talk about that. You're going to want to talk about the guys that are here, and I get that. And obviously, as I said, transfer portal. But yeah, I just I think the thing that like, and I posted it on Twitter. I think the thing that really irritated me the most was all the clickbait for like DJ Lagway, LJ McCray. Like, I got a text this morning that LJ McCray. Oh no, it wasn't this morning. It was around early afternoon. LJ McCray already signed his letter of intent. Like they said, Auburn came in, all that other kind of stuff. They had his letter of intent for a few hours before it was even announced. I think I got that text around like 4:30, something like that. But like the constant clickbait of like DJ Lagway, oh Texas A&M's in contact. He might flip. USC's in contact. He might flip. Now they did contact him, but we already knew he was coming to Florida. Like all of us knew he was coming to Florida. But the
Yeah.
consistent click all the way until he signed,
That's their
and all
job. I
the
mean,
way
it's annoying, and
like
they definitely
yeah, but
capitalize on Florida's, but it was definitely a little overkill for the last 24 hours.
it yeah, I get that. There is clickbait that's out there that you have to do that in that industry. I get that. But like it was consistent all the way from like day 2, day 1. And that's like all they ever concentrated on, it seemed like. Like they didn't talk about anything else. Maybe the Jeremiah Smith stuff, maybe Florida State losing a couple 5 stars, but like it was more like Florida based. Oh, will they flip? Will they do this? And I'm just like, guys, like there's other guys out there you can talk about, not just Florida's guys. So that
Couple
kind of irritated.
couple super chats. Jonas Gora, I believe. Florida, until they pay for it, won't get a top 5 class. Not an Napier problem. It goes above him, and that's something we were kind of alluding to, that it's bigger than Napier. From that regards, I think Napier did a good job of pulling in what he did, and that's why I'm saying when you're seeing the guys when they leave and how they're leaving, it's not a commitment to Billy. I don't believe. I think it's bigger than that. When you've got and people are like, well, we're not going to pay for it. That's the world we live in. Like it's when everybody is paying for it, at some point you're going to have to adapt. Not like, well, you should just want to be a Gator because you're a Gator. That ship, it's not even sailing anymore. It doesn't exist. They're flying airplanes. Okay,
Right.
like it's not even a ship anymore. Brian Korth, $10 says we need to support the guys that did commit. Go Gators. Totally agree, and thank you guys for both of for your support.
Oh, by the way, I didn't even give my take on Gregory Smith and Jaden Ball. Now, Jaden Ball, like this kid averaged 14 yards per carry in high school, and Alabama was heavily after him. Now, did Alabama flipping Riley have to do something with us getting Ball? I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it, but like I like where I like Ball's potential. Maybe like if you turn on film, he may not be like the speediest running back, but like he's a good all-purpose back. Like he can do everything. And he's pretty good in space too, so I'm okay with that pick. And then Gregory Smith, I mean, this is a guy that played multiple positions. He's an athlete. He's over 200 pounds. Like I just think his overall athleticism for his size will help him. And then they want him as a safety, so I think that will help him as well. So I like both the pickups. I think if you look at Gregory Smith's like profile too, where he's been ranked, he's only really been ranked twice, and he's went up each ranking. So like you don't really know what you're going to get with him because he hasn't really played that much. So this is kind of one of those mystery guys that will he turn out to be good? Will he turn out to be bad with further development? We don't know yet. So it's kind of one of those guys. It's a Pandora's, not really a Pandora's box, but it's more of like a mystery. You're
For
opening
sure.
up. It's door number 1. What's going to come? What's going to be behind door number 1? That's pretty much what that is.
Let's talk about him. We're addressing the sky is falling here in just a moment. And then we also have some D-line news. And then as well, strength and conditioning coach hasn't been
Yeah.
fired, but is let go from those duties. And we'll talk about that and the importance of that. And hopefully my football IQ will be able to overcome that.
We don't want to talk about the guys who flipped and aren't here, but what would you say to people who are talking so much about it? I mean, social media was a buzz today, sort of sky is falling narrative developed.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I mean, I think we anticipated some attrition. Reality is we might have been okay with some of it. So, I think you find out a lot about where you're at when you go through a process and how things are handled to some degree. So, look, it goes back to if you don't want to be here, let's go ahead and get that out of the way now, especially in today's dynamic, right? Because if they get it wrong now, then maybe it's not right for them. So look, we've got a couple different opportunities here going forward to add players. I'm looking for players that want to play at the University of Florida. It means something. It is a privilege. It's a sacred opportunity to be a part of this place. So look, it's for some and it's not for some. Okay, so ultimately, recruiting is a battle. And I think every team across the country, it's down to the wire. So
Very true. All down to the wire. And kind of like what you said there, right? Like, hey, some of those guys, for good reason. I think probably that was more of a shot to Darius Hayes. A lot of murmurs about the letter of intent actually being pulled because of how the situation went down. And look, all in all, we still lost him, regardless if we did end up pulling it because of how the situation was handled. Loyal to him, he then kind of bails out on a visit. So, hey, we're not cool with that. So made it seem like it comes down to the wire. That's what their kids are always going to do. And well, then you can argue, well, why did it even get to that point where he disrespected the staff? Look, those are all great questions and good points, right? So somewhere at some point it was lost, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at the situation with Jordan Seaton right now. He was heavily Florida, wanted to commit to Florida during the summer, couldn't get that done, unfortunately. Then he goes and commits to Colorado, and now he doesn't even sign a letter of intent. And then you're hearing Maryland spoke, and like you look at kids like that, and you're like, okay, well, what happens if I sign you? Like, are you going to get fed up after 1 year, hit the transfer portal? Because right now the transfer portal rules are changed a little bit. You can transfer a lot more now.
Yeah.
So, like, are you going to be upset because you don't get enough playing time? Do you want more NIL? I mean, is there going to be some other situation where you don't like it? Like, do I trust you to sign this letter of intent? Because you may be gone next year. You may be gone in 2 years. So I get where he's trying to say, like, if you don't want to be a Gator, why are you here? We'll pull your scholarship, whatever. And that happened a couple times today. I get where that comes from. So he does make a good point there. And I know a lot of people will think it's like, oh, that's corny. People should want to be Gators. You got to make the kids want to be Gators at first. But if in the end, they don't want to be, all right, well, go somewhere else and you'll probably be in the transfer portal a couple more years. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? And I think it could, and Billy has referred to that as well too. It's like, hey, we want to go after guys that are going to be here for 2 to 3 years because there's that other exhausting part of like, I don't want to have to recruit your ass every year to be here, right? I've got to be focused on the next class and the next cycle. I shouldn't have to be focused on the guys that are here. And look, somebody asked a question, which we're going to get into right here. And Spencer Daniel, $5 is what scares me is we had guys in previous classes that wanted to be Gators, but have since hit the portal. And yeah, those are good points. I think last year, Will Norman, he had his mother pass away. There's some, I would say, some personal issues that happened there. Kamari Wilson, I think, wanted to be a Gator, but wouldn't adjust to, aligning to what we needed him to play. He wasn't going to be a safety. He wants to be a safety. That relationship wasn't ever going to work out. And look, sometimes you have to adapt and adjust if you truly want to be a Gator. He didn't want to be that. And then obviously there were a lot of things that went down with how he kind of handled that situation. Trevor Etienne, in my opinion, that's a big loss. That one sucks where it's like, but the rest of the guys though, Max Brown, right, was a Gator, but he sees like, hey, my time here is up. I'm not going to play if I stay here. So we brought him in as a guy that, hey, we'll see what we can do with you. He had an opportunity. But hey, Grant's coming back. DJ's here. You're not going to play. Go somewhere where you can play. And that's where I think the pro of a transfer portal is guys like that, look, you may have gone after and recruited, like a Ty Bowman, who was also part of that class, a Miguel Mitchell. Like, go look at the guys from that class. If you go look at them, you've complained about them all year long. The only person you're not complaining about from that class is Trevor Etienne. The rest of them, you wouldn't want them to play next year anyways. And if you go look at where they all landed, and this isn't me taking a shot, and it could be like, well, that's poor evaluation on Billy. Sure, call whatever you want. But those guys aren't working out. And they're being beat out by guys that signed last year.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and there's different situations for every person that wants to go in the transfer portal. It's not just that. It's like I think where Billy Napier was coming from in that speech is like you want to find players you can trust that want to be here, and then maybe later on they change their mind or a couple years down the road, whatever. And we know how all these situations go. If you're getting passed up on the depth chart and players are better than you're probably going to hit the portal, try to go somewhere else because I mean age is a factor too. Kids can only get so old to where they can't even really compete in the NFL anymore at certain positions. So if you're sitting here for 2 or 3 years, you still haven't started, it's probably best for you to go somewhere else into the portal. So I get that part. But yeah, I mean, I think he made a good point in that presser about like, if you really want to be here, be here. If not, not. I get that. But at the same time, you did have some kids leave that were pretty good and did not like the situation either.
Yep. A couple more super chats, and then we'll keep moving. So $5 from Between the Hedges to shout out to little Kirby, aka Beckett, for keeping High Top Sports level headed today. The kid has a bright future. He did. He kept me every time we get to walk out, take a little break, and see his little smile. It makes all the pain go away for sure. $5 from Chad Vonador says Seton got a crystal ball to Maryland. Billy needs to get him if he ain't going all in on Colorado. I think that plane has flew, and it seems like it's mayhem with that young man. And then
Yeah.
$2 from Taylor Holland says, you see Mincy comment on LJ's commitment video. Yeah, he said, let's go. But you got to understand that's they're teammates. So he's just happy for him regardless of where he goes. He's happy he made a decision. We look to sometimes these kids. I mean, if you go just watch the interactions on Instagram Live, right? They just, at the end of the day, it's not as serious as sometimes we take it. They're just happy for wherever their buddies are going to go and play.
Yeah, I mean, when you play in high school, you build a camaraderie. It's like if you make best friends with somebody for like 10 years and you're in college and he goes to a different college and you go to a different college, you're still going to support each other. You're still going to be happy for each other. So, I mean, if you look, I mean, on the Instagram Live last night where Lagway was on there, Xavier feels same, and a bunch of people were on there. They kept switching people in and out and a bunch of recruits. But like when it started with Lagway and Phil Same, he's like, hey, are you going to flip? No. And they're just giving each other crap and giving each other but like, they were still buddies. Like they were still through the recruiting process. So they're still going to support each other no matter what. But
For sure.
DJ Lagway say he was going to run him over. So.
He did. I did. I love that. Real quick before we dive into the defensive line coach, other big kind of big news for today is Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, has yet to sign. So he committed, but he has not signed the letter of intent yet, which basically seals that in. What does that mean? I don't know. There was a tweet that was put out that he had 2 hats in his bag right before he committed. That's how it came close down to the wire, and they had a Miami hat and a Ohio State hat. So how much is Florida going to be involved with that? I don't think anything, but it's probably going to be just fine. But it is interesting. It is interesting that nothing has happened yet.
It kind of reminds me of like 2015 class where you had the Byron Cowart situation where he had signed his letter of intent with Auburn, but then or he had committed to Auburn, never signed the letter of intent. And you heard rumors of him saying, well, I want to know where CeCe Jefferson goes. And CeCe Jefferson committed to Florida. So a lot of Florida fans were like, oh, maybe he'll come to Florida. He still wound up eventually signing with Auburn anyway. So I'm not going to say that this is the same situation or whatever, but I still expect him to sign with Ohio State. But you never know. I mean, you never know. That's what I expect. I have no clue. I have no inside info to that at all.
Trace McSorley says streets say Jeremiah Smith forgot his Gator hat at signing day, and that's why we're waiting. I don't disagree. That's probably exactly what happened. Miami and Cristobal had a big day today, landed some big time guys, flipping to Darius Hayes, flipping Armando Blount, 5-star defensive lineman from FSU. They took some blows today, losing KJ Bolden to Georgia and losing Blunt to Miami. So they fell, I think, to number 9, I think, in the class from being number 3 from today. So a little bit of a hiccup for them. FSU fans definitely weren't too happy with that. And Miami obviously having a big surge. Oregon also a big day, and Auburn a big day with the big time flips that they had. So, guys, over 950 people in here. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you guys are new. But let's move into the defensive line coach that has not signed yet, but it appears that all signs are pointing to Gerald Chapman. And a lot of people were kind of scratching the head, like, who is this? Not a big splash hire. But when you kind of peel back the layers a little bit and start looking into it, it's like, hey, it's an exciting, potential big hire here. And before I let you go, Dave, about Gerald Chapman, I was talking with Connor Clark before the show. We're going to have that drop separately. It was a great show. And something that he mentioned that Billy is going to be struggling with is, look, it is very evidently clear that the seat is extremely hot for Billy, and he has to be successful headed into next year. And if you're a coach, a position coach, you see that there. It's not like it's a secret. And I would imagine Billy goes, "Hey, shit's hot over here. We got to rock and roll." Meaning it's going to be hard to sell somebody because they're taking the risk to go work with Billy on the off chance that, 80/20, that my job may not exist because the guy that brought me in is not going to be here, and the chances the next guy keeps me are very slim. So everybody that we're looking after to go get is taking a chance and buying into Billy. He also kind of referred that to why Hughes is having such a great recruiting cycle, because he's still able to sell the dream of what could be. Also, why I think we had two good recruiting cycles the first 2 years, because Billy could sell a dream. He could sell the pipe dream. Now you got 2 years of production. It's a little bit harder to sell that. So anybody that buys in, you got to be okay. Well, this guy's extremely bought in. He's trusting what Billy has told him. He's trusting in himself, because he's taking not only a chance on Billy, but his career to go out here and do this, to go out into a big Power 5 conference and to, look, regardless of what happens, he may do a fantastic job, but Billy could still lose his job, and none of that matters, and he's got to take a step back. So, look, it's not the answer that you want to hear, but this is partly why you're like, wait, why are we getting the splash higher? This is another part. Now, to that, don't go anywhere. When we talk about the strength and conditioning coach, it's going to be a splash higher from what we're hearing, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. But tell us your thoughts on Gerald Chapman here, old Swolder.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Chapman, he's very interesting because he's been like everywhere. I mean, he started at like Ball State University. Well, he didn't start there, but he's been at Ball State University, Tennessee State, Texas A&M. He worked as a graduate assistant. I mean, you look at some of the resumes. He's had some time in the National Football League with the Bengals. LSU. I mean, when you just look at like his body of work and his resume, I mean, it speaks for itself, and he's yielded plenty good results. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, LSU fans, saying, "Hey, this is not a bad hire. This is actually a good hire for Florida." He seems like one of those guys that likes to go to programs and prove himself. So maybe he wants to come into this program and prove that, hey, maybe I can improve this defensive line. I can show on my resume that I took this defensive line that couldn't stop the run, had Ray Davis run him over for 280 yards. You know, not get any sacks or pressures on anybody. Maybe I can bolster this defensive line, or maybe I can coach this defensive line and put this on my resume. I mean, if you go look up his accolades, especially on the Tulane website, man, he has a lot of good resume on it. So sometimes, man, and I'll even say this, sometimes the splash hires sometimes don't even work out. I mean, when Corey Raymond was hired, we thought, okay, well, this defense, these corners are going to get better. Never really did. And at the same time, Corey Raymond, when it came to cornerbacks, he only signed maybe one elite cornerback in 2 years. So, I mean, look, I don't, as long as they're put in a good situation and they can go out there and recruit, you should be able to be a pretty good coach at what you do. I mean, look at Jay Bateman right now. I mean, he's probably our best recruiter on the staff right now. You're probably not going to get very many dislikes from the linebackers here in the future just because of what you've brought in. They still got to develop, of course, but you've brought in quality linebackers in this class and the class before, and so on and so on and so on. So I think it's a good hire. I wouldn't say it's like some elite, awesome hire and he's going to come in here and change everything around, but I do like the fact that his resume speaks for itself. LSU fans endorsed it. And I mean, the defensive line, I mean, I always say it can't get any worse because I said that in 2021 and it got worse in 2022. So I'll just say, I hope it improves. It's got to improve.
Yeah, and look, this little thing was kind of flying around the internet because it's Carlos Dunlap, Coach O, Geno Atkins, and BJ Ojolora, all guys that were testing to Gerald Chapman and who he is as a coach, because he did work on Bengal staff for a little bit, worked at LSU like you stated, and I think a few other Power 5 conference schools. I can't remember, but you were even looking before. He's been all over the place. He's been around. I like it.
He's been in the NFL and Power 5 conference and the SEC.
Honestly, like the things we've complained about from other coaches, he kind of carries every attribute outside of just a flashy resume, right? But he's seen a lot. He's touched a lot of big time guys, and the guys that are supporting and backing what he's been able to bring, I think says a lot. So we'll see how it plays out. I think it's also somebody too who's gonna be bought into the process, bought into what Armstrong. And again, if we're trusting Billy, and I know some people are already off that train, that's fine. I'm speaking as if too that we're bought in. That's how the mindset should be, because that's it. Here we are. To constantly sit here and talk each day fighting against what's happening would just be exhaustion, right? So I like the hire, but let's talk about the strength and conditioning coach. So this news for the D line coach is not confirmed. Feels pretty good. Just pen to paper, hasn't happened yet. Their bowl game is over. Not quite sure what the holdup is. They lost to SMU, so we should be able to move forward. But the big news is Mark Hawk has been relieved of his duties, and this is where I was talking with Connor Clark. We were also talking about this with Nick Delatorre and the importance of the strength and conditioning coach and what the strength and conditioning coach actually is to the organization. Now, let me go ahead and get this pulled up here so we can take a look at this, just so I have something to look at while we're talking. Strength and conditioning coach is a much bigger, important hire than most people probably realize. Because, and we talked about with Nick Delatorre, which we kind of learned about, is they are your secondary coach. So right now, this offseason, Mark Hawk typically would take over and run your team. He's getting your team ready, getting the right mindset, shaping your team to be ready for spring ball. So this is a guy that you got to trust the most. And this is why Nick Delatorre said he didn't think Mark Hawk was going anywhere, because your strength and conditioning coach follows you from place to place. It's the guy that knows you. It's your right leg. It's your left nut, right? And so this, to me, right, this is where I think, look, as Gator fans, if you want a slimmer of hope, I know there's a lot of you that aren't, and I'm a dick rider, but if you want a slimmer of hope, Billy is showing you that he's willing to cut off his left nut to make this thing work. That's what he tells me with this displacement of Mark Hawk. Okay, that he's a guy that you look, this is a big time move, bigger than what people may realize. It's not just going out and hiring somebody. You were cutting off somebody that is you've entrusted with your ability to get things done. He let you down, and now you've got to make a big time move and go make another decision. There's a lot of names coming. Those names are coming from Alabama. And I was talking with Connor about it, and I go, look, there isn't going to be a big splash hire when it comes to a strength and conditioning coach, because who the fuck knows strength and conditioning coaches, right? I mean, he's the top fourth paid highest strength and conditioning coach. He's like, the only time you know who the strength and conditioning coach is when shit doesn't go the right way, right? So he did say, look, he's like, I feel like this would be a big splash hire. Like the guy that we would bring in the sense of a splash hire would be pretty big. And like I said, I think out of all the hires, out of the DB coach, out of the D-line coach, this is going to be the most important one that you're not going to recognize it until, Jordan Castell has to level the Mizzou wide receiver, and he does or doesn't, right? That's when we're going to realize if it was a great hire or not.
Yeah, he's not going to Miguel Mitchell it. Yeah, I mean, should I thought we were going to say maybe, nah, I ain't even going to put that out there. But yeah, I mean, like
What?
you said with strength and conditioning coach, what, the name?
Well, I wouldn't put the name out there. I wasn't
Yeah, I
going
don't
to.
think I put the name out there either.
Let's not create a. I think there's been enough.
Okay. From what I've heard, yes, it is a splash hire for strength and conditioning coach. And at the same time, like you said, you can't analyze a strength and conditioning coach. All you can do is find out who it is, look at what teams they have coached, look how they've performed the past years, and then just go from there. So I think anybody would be begging for an improvement in strength and conditioning, considering what they've seen the last 2 years, especially defensively. Wide receivers that aren't even looking at a defender, and the defender's running towards them at full speed, and they still knock over the defender, even though they didn't even see him. That's a problem. When you got Ray Davis running for 280 yards, that's a problem. When Jalen Kimber is trying to tackle somebody and just arm tackles them, and they still pull him away into the end zone, that is a problem. So as long as you have somebody out there that can obviously get them in good shape. Obviously, the nutrition, well, I guess the nutritionist got promoted. What do you recall it? Fired, whatever. That's going to be changing too. So maybe you get better production out of these guys. And I think that's what was missing a lot last year. It's not really that like the on-field performance defensively or maybe even offensively, but I go defense because you have to deliver hits and you have to be more physical defensively. When you go defense and you look at it last year, like a lot of the problems were probably solved with good strength and conditioning. I mean, there was guys there to make plays and they just got ran over or they didn't tackle them and they got dragged. I mean, I think with that you'll see better results. Is it too much too late now that you've replaced him 2 years in? I don't know, but I mean, you can yield pretty good results from a strength and conditioning coach in year one. We saw it with Coach Savage from 2017 to 2018. Maybe this guy can come in here and give us the same production from the same guys in there. And so I think if this hire that they've been rumoring is going to be the guy, I think a lot of Florida Gator fans are going to be really happy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's something to be excited about. And again, I know I see you guys in the comments saying Sheldon has to. I know he has to, but that doesn't mean he was willing to make the choice. I think it's a good first step that he's making this decision, right? Because it's very easily he could have just sat here and been played stubborn ball and not made that decision. Now, as for offensive coordinator, they were asked about it. He's kind of put it up in the air that we're looking about it. I spoke with Connor Clark about that as well. There is some names on the table. There is definitely, I think, a search for it. But again, just like I spoke with the defensive line, you got to find somebody who's willing to take that risk to come and visit and to be a part of what is a sinking ship. I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? So I agree. I think, you go out, you go get a new offense or strength and conditioning coach, you go hire offensive coordinator. I think the tide will turn. And I think come May, there's going to be some more positivity flowing for the time being. Like, let's be honest. This is how this works. We'll hit the honeymoon stage. We'll be back in June. We'll be like, yep, we're going 12-0. And then come week one, we'll see how that really is. Honestly, like that's how it's, I think that's how it could turn out to be. I was even asking Connor, I was like, look, I know we didn't get what we wanted, but I'm excited. I'm happy because we're turning over a new leaf. Like, it's going to be a new season here. We kind of scrap what will happen, what it is. We're going to move forward and let's see what we can bring to the table. But that's all still
Yeah,
up in the air.
I was gonna say I'll add something real quick. A lot of times with strength and conditioning coaches too, a coach, if a new coach was to have to come in, okay, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, if we bring in all these guys and Billy Napier's fired next year, they're all gonna leave. With strength and conditioning coaches, sometimes they're retained for the most part. Sometimes they're not, depending on if the coach really wants his own guys in there, he'll replace the strength and conditioning coach. If he doesn't, he'll usually retain the strength and conditioning coach. That's why I was kind of upset when we didn't retain Savage. And you've heard kids. I mean, like you've heard kids come out and we've heard rumors of kids saying, "Oh, well, they didn't like how Mark Hockey was doing some things." I don't know. That's just rumor. I have no clue. I'm not one of the students. I'm not going to speak for them. But yeah, a lot of the times those strength and conditioning coaches don't like hop around a lot, if you know what I mean.
For sure. Yeah, they definitely stay tight knit. I love the Muffin Man says, I may have missed this today, but what gaps are most important to fill, still fill, and who can transfer for those positions? I mean, it's got to be the O line, number one.
Yes.
I would
Oh,
like
that's
another defensive line addition, and then maybe some secondary play, maybe another safety / cornerback play would be big as well. Maybe one or two would be huge. I think linebacker room, I'm excited about that room. It wouldn't hurt to get one because of the Darius Hayes, but O-line and maybe another wide receiver. I think another young wide, maybe with a year or two that's in the portal, maybe a little underrated, that could come in and kind of be a nice little presence. But again, I'm excited about the wide receiver room. I would just, again, I think some depth and some seniority there would be beneficial in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I think offensive line is the position you really need to concentrate on more than anything. As far as like defense, yeah, just saying a little couple pieces back there, nothing too much there, and then probably a D line, maybe even two D linemen. Who knows how they're going to go with that? But you got LJ McCray coming in, and I think he can play right away if he's that
Agreed.
good. I mean, you got an elite Kelby Collins back there too, and then you got other pieces. I'm not going to go name with Cam Jackson returning. You've got good pieces back there. You got solid pieces on the D line. I just figured maybe you can add one, maybe two. But offensive line is a major, major, major thing you got to concentrate on, especially going into the portal. Obviously, you said Darius Hayes, and there are some guys that Florida's targeting after losing Hayes, but we'll just see how that shakes out.
And
I
look, I
mean,
think
there's going to be bowl games that are going to be played. There's going to be more kids going in the portal before January,
for
so
sure.
we'll see how that shakes out.
Crenshaw, a big addition, the offensive tackle. Michael Tarquin, he's projected right now to come to us. I think that would be a huge addition to that offensive line. Austin Barber's going to have another year under his belt. Najee Harris, big IMG kid. He had he showed some spotlights of greatness. Slaughter's going to have another year. He really found himself towards the end. I think this Noel Portuguese guy, I think he's going to be a surprising factor that might see some snaps. Fletcher Westfall could be have some impact as well. So, look, I think we still need one or two more, though. One or two more to really kind of look to make that line all of a sudden go, hey, okay, we can be competitive. We can go down with the big dogs. Jesse Rollins says $2. Late to the party. Did you watch the press conference? We played a few clips from the press conference, but yes, I watched it. Zachary Vega says $5. Why can't we just make our players MMA fight all offseason until they are killers like they used to? I think half of them would leave if we did, but I don't.
Oh, come on now. It's 2023. This is, we know how this goes.
Yeah, you can't do that. But guys, we have almost 1,100 in here on a Wednesday afternoon and only 200 likes. Those are rookie numbers. Those are Bush League numbers, boys. Let's pump those numbers up. We're out here pumping it out. This is, I think, our 5th live show today. We've been cruising and bruising for it. And I do appreciate you guys all tuning in, listening to our dumbasses speak all day long. So hope you guys have enjoyed the content we put out so far. But we got D-line coaches. We got offensive coordinator news. We've got strength and conditioning coaches, big signees. No more noise outside of, I think, the favorite Edwin is the only guy that, is on the radar that could be signing the next couple of days. Zay Mincy, obviously, but he's still not going to announce until January, so we won't hear any more on that. I think the biggest thing is going to be the portal. Ratcliffe, cornerback, who's currently committed to UCLA. Will Harris went out and said, hey, we want you on the campus. Let's rock and roll. I love that. Love that dog mentality of like, it's not over until it's over.
I heard from somebody at Florida that said if he gets to campus, he probably would flip his commitment, but we'll see.
Will Harris will?
Ratcliffe.
You think? Well, I'm saying you think Will's going to make it happen?
Hey, he's got to prove himself.
That's a huge W. And I think for anybody that was questioning Will and what he was able to do, you go out there, your first target, right? You can say X was his first target. Don't even get me started with that. His first target, he goes, I want you. Come to campus. Let's talk. And you flip it. I like that. And flipping somebody in the portal, I think it's much tougher than people realize. Because those guys aren't really trying to shop around like a typical high school recruit. So
yeah, this is like a West Coast kid too. So he's coming all the way to the East Coast and Southeast too, by the way. So and he's a top 5 at his position in the portal as well.
I love that. Let me see here. Making sure there's nothing. I'm kind of popping around checking Twitter. Make sure nothing pops while we're here hanging out with you guys. Kyle Stansel says running back room looking fire. And this is what I said about the Trevor Etienne when everybody was panicking. The dime a dozen. Like, I mean, they're all 6'1", 225, just dogs. Literally, every last one of them. I mean, it's like just plug one in and let's see how this thing's gonna work. I mean, Montrell's coming back, and then after that, again, Trevor is a special breed. I'm not trying to be a hater. This is where people have to understand. The thing has moved on, okay? So now I'm going to focus on what we have. I'm going to be excited about what we have. And I think we've got some really good, exciting talent in Kanan Daniels back there. Jaden Ball, I think, is going to be exciting. Cam Carroll, he's going to be there as well. So there's a ton of talent to work through. And I think we may have lost quantity or quality, but we've got a ton of quantity and quality, I believe, back there that I don't think we're going to miss it if we can replace a line. You go get yourself a good line, bro. Any of these guys can run through a big hole. Go get me a line. I promise you, you're not going to recognize it being gone if you can go get a good line.
Yeah, and let me give a shout out to Kanan Daniels, man. This was a kid that, like, I never understood why he was rated in the 300s, 400s this whole cycle. The kid was averaging 10 to 11 yards per carry, and he was just killing people. 2,000 yards both seasons. And then, like, you're just sitting there like, why hasn't this kid moved up? Finally, kid moves up in 24/7. He's up at like 190 or 180 now. His composites right in the top 250. So congratulations to Kanan Daniels. I think he should have been even higher than that.
Yes, hell of a climb for him for sure. And between the hedges, great point. If Trevor is actually great, right, we'll know pretty quickly if we lost out on him. Because if he goes to Uggo with a line that's doesn't hold up against Bama, but holds up against the rest of the country, he'll ball. He will look like an absolute rock star, right? He'll be like the Sony Michels and the Nick Chubbs and the Todd Gurley's of the world. That's how he should look. If he's just average.
Yeah, there's very few running backs that don't need an offensive line. Like, you got to look at your, like, Marshawn Lynch's, your, God, that guy.
Marshawn Lynch just needs the quarterback to hand the ball to him. That's a special breed right there, my guy. Okay.
Those type of guys, like, I forget the guy's name. I'm not a big NFL guy, but, like, it's those type of guys that it's those rare running backs that don't need an offensive line, but most running backs, I will say 95% of the time, need a decent offensive line to run behind.
Zeke's a big one, man, where, like, he had a lot of success. I loved Zeke. But everywhere he went, he's had pretty decent offensive lines.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Peterson was the other guy. Adrian Peterson.
That guy could run through anybody. Yeah. And even Chris Johnson, to an extent, was CK2K or CJ2K was somebody special. So we will see. I think that was. Oh, we got to do tweets of the week, of course. Some great tweets. So let's go ahead and dive into that. My brain's a little fried, so I might be forgetting. In Canva, our overlay that helps create our overlays was not working.
We
So I usually have my little checkbox of what we're going to talk about, and I'm kind of free falling here, ripping it off the brain here, off the top of the dome, freestyling.
hey,
So
hey, we're in the final hours, man. You've been going all day. I've been going all day behind the scenes. My phone's been ringing off and on the hook. Is somebody going here? What's going on here? Blah 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 blah. Just all this stuff. And to be honest, I have like a bunch of DMs on Twitter where people DM me. I've not responded. That's probably why I haven't responded. Is because I've just been busy all day. So I do apologize.
no, you're all good.
And
$2
I'm
from Isaiah Carr says, "Is the Liberty offensive coordinator news BS? I saw it on two earlier." Look, I mean, it's hard to really tell with the offensive coordinator. There's been so many names tossed around of who it could be. I haven't heard too much. I've heard a lot of noise on a couple people. But let's dive into tweets of the week here. First order of business. Go make this a little bigger. Cover our
You're
face
gonna
up,
have to
dude.
read that quote and then click on the link. I think.
Yeah. So this guy
Here
says,
we-
after a great visit with Ole Miss, I'm excited to announce I'm 1,000% committed to the University of Mississippi. I want to thank all the coaches, blah, blah, blah. So here are the photos. Bro, hey, Lane Kiffin putting us in the locker, but then somebody goes, bro took his Kim and Picks and Joe's Crab Shack. Like,
Yeah. I'll say this: we're not making fun of Lane because he completely killed it in the portal, so I can't really say anything. But this in general situation is hilarious. It's like, did you take your photos at Joe's Crab Shack? Man?
it's like, hey, let me get on my phone real quick. This was gold, Dave. 1,000 likes, Dave. Well done. So On3 says a lawmaker has sent a letter to the College Football Committee demanding the Orange Bowl between Florida State and Nugget gets added to the College Football Playoff. And then you just said the winner of the Orange Bowl will play at UCF for the national championship. Dave has been trolling these two teams left and right. It's been fun to watch.
It's all fair game. You sit here and troll us all year. I got you right back.
Somebody said earlier, they nailed it on the head. They're like, you're like a homeless person making fun about somebody who has a house, like Florida fans. And I go, you're not wrong. We are homeless and we're laying on the side of the street, but that means we ain't got shit to lose. And if a homeless person says your house sucks, the shit's gonna sting.
Well, guess what? You might still have a house, but you're late on payments.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Next up we've got this.
This
Dude,
is just
this was
funny in general.
This is wild, bro. What was the final score?
Oh God, it's probably like 120.
Yeah, it was insane. Just watching the clips though, it's like I could play for that team. I could.
This is terrible basketball play. Like, I'm a white dude that's short, and I can play better than these guys.
Yeah, I felt bad for the kids that got it shared. It looks like it's Bishop Sycamore for basketball.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said it was Bishop Sycamore, basically. That's what it reminds you of. Like, it looks like when Bishop Sycamore played at IMG Academy.
Yeah. Next up, this was hilarious.
You got to blow that one up, man. Can you blow that one up?
Oh Lord. I mean, if people were just listening, it's just a video of a guy humping away. He can't even explain that. This was awesome. This was Triquez Bridges telling his grandpa that he committed to Washington and he was devastated, but then he told him he committed to Florida.
Go Husk.
I mean, I feel like Washington's a good place for himself.
Go Husk.
What's wrong?
I can't go. Go.
You want Gator? Well, fuck it. Go Gators then. Go Gators then.
Hey. Let me get my head. Let go.
Hey.
Woo! Woo! Chop! 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 Chop!
That's awesome. I love that. That's too cool.
That's a happy dad right there.
I thought it was his grandpa. Yeah, it's his grandpa.
Grandpa, my bad. Grandpa.
All right, tweet of the day, boys. Here you go.
Should have taken the shot, fat ass.
Oh, that's gold. That's absolute gold. Oh,
Oh
man.
my god, that one was the best.
Shout out
That
to
was
Nick.
like, yeah, Nick, that was like the best tweet of the week right there. That was hilarious.
That was good. Spencer Daniel says $5. Did you see the tweet they made about Hayes? If not, I'm about to at you on Twitter. I don't think I did.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna add that, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like making fun of kids' looks because
Oh yeah,
they
I'm not gonna put that up there. No.
I don't know why.
The
So,
tagging
yeah.
at these kids and making fun of them is crazy. High top, this guy. This is obviously Papa Stokes here, hiding behind this because he said this to me before. So I always had a feeling it was him. High top could be bigger if they weren't only a Gator show. Just hashtag stupid business decision. Look, man, I appreciate your help and your insight. Almost at 20,000 subs, so I guess we'll crash and burn. I do appreciate it. We do have a second channel, High Top Sports Recruiting, that is also almost at 1,500 subs. But hey, I'll be sure to give you a call on how to manage my business. I'm sure you have plenty of successful ones. So I've asked you to come on the show and run your mouth plenty of times. You cowered out like per usual, and you're constantly in my comments because your bell's turned on. And you say I ride Billy's cock, yet here you are in my comments every day. So,
Keep going.
Huh?
Damn. Keep going.
Bro, it's just ridiculous, dude. Like everyone has an opinion. It's like, look, I have a call-in show. You got more than welcome to call in and give me your thoughts and opinions if you feel like I'm ignorant. You don't.
You want to know what the worst thing is? Like, especially when you have like a big following, is like you'll put something out there as a tweet and you'll get like 3 different like extreme like replies to it. Like when you say something like, I think the class was okay, but you could have done something with it. I'm not pleased that we lost 2 elites. And then you'll see somebody, well, what do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do? Or they'll say, oh, you think the number 15 class is all great? I never said it was. So, I mean, you can't win.
It's tough. It's tough. Nick says my prayers have been answered. Yeah, you did it. You did a good job. You did a good job.
Hey, that was like one of the best tweets of the week that we've had on this show. So
it was
I got
very well done. Very well done. Very well. Yep. That old man made my night. They love that one. Good. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, almost 1,000 people in here all night. It's been fantastic, and I appreciate you guys. And he says, what did someone say? Enough Gator fans in the world to stick to your passion. I mean, look, we got a whole NIL collective built around it. I think we're gonna be okay. And look, we do everything here on High Top Sports. I think we've shown that. Our Wednesday show is all Gators, but we are actually working on rolling out a SEC show on Thursday where we're gonna have other SEC content creators come on here. So
yeah, and even during the season, we were doing all of college football all across, like especially on Saturdays. You had the Saturday morning show and all that.
You can't
So,
fix stupid.
I don't know where he's coming from.
You can't fix stupid. Boys and girls, you guys be good. You guys have a great night. I enjoyed all of you guys per usual. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know we did. We had a great time. Look, I expect the rest of the week to be busy, so keep your eyes peeled. We'll be dropping some content. I have a great interview with Connor Clark talking all things National Signing Day, his thoughts on the Billy Napier era. So good stuff, boys. You guys be good. Dave, love you. Good night. Like and subscribe. And wait. Whoa.
What's up?
Whoa. Merry Christmas, guys. We won't see you until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say Merry Christmas, and sorry I'm under the weather today. I am like getting over a bad cold that I had, and I am really tired from early signing day, so I'm kind of just in zombie mode right now.
Yeah. Good stuff. I think we this 5i has been busy. I decorated last year for Christmas. It's a little bit smaller of a corner. So I can't. But look, you guys are incredible. I appreciate you guys being here for through thick and thin. And again, tuned in all day today. You guys were rock stars. So he says, no good try, but I have no idea who you just referenced. Yeah. After all that, that's all you referred to. I definitely nailed it on the head of exactly who you are. So eat your words, move along, suck it. Sorry to be a loser. But best show on YouTube. Thank you, Armory Sniper. Chris Sorley. Appreciate you, big guy. Grandpa was awesome. Beautiful stuff. Absolutely. Ben says, agreed. High Top is a shit. Billy B says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. You guys have a great holidays. Tell your family you love them. Hopefully you guys got some cool gifts under the tree waiting for you, and hopefully you got some cool gifts for your loved ones as well. I got B a little something special. I didn't even tell Caitlin because it's gonna be a surprise for everybody. She was like, "Why can't you tell me?" I'm like, "I just, keep it 100, keep it a buck."
They asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I said, I'm old, man. Just give me like clothes and gift cards and tools. That's all I really need.
Underwear and socks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, undies and socks. Yeah, just like the
The
normal stuff
necessities.
that, like,
Yeah.
you could go to
Cologne.
Walmart. You could go to Walmart and shop for me for Christmas. Like, you really
Cologne.
could.
The wife always gives me cologne. Why hasn't Steven been on? Steve was on Monday for Champs Corner, baby. What's up now? Come on now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, see, that's the GOAT right there, by the way.
That is.
Steve.
We sent him a mic. He's gonna be ready to rock and roll come next show. That part I do know.
Yeah.
We might not have a show on Monday. I don't know. It's Christmas. I don't know if we're gonna do a show on Monday. It's Christmas Day, so usually we'll have to move Champs Corner to Tuesday. We might do Champs Corner on Tuesday night, boys.
Wear your little Sandy hat.
I love it. You guys be good. Thank you. Love you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.